It's loud. Hello. Don't be afraid to move closer if you like. There's plenty of room, I think. All right. Do we have DC fans here? Only one. Don't be afraid to shout, guys. I'm not the only one who has to be loud in here. Do we have Marvel fans?
Yes.
You guys do realize I work for DC, right? Should I ask that again? Do you have Pony fans?
Woo! I'm a comic book.
Ooh, I like the loud. Should I redo DC? Is there any DC fans here? Still no.
Sure.
Do we have any Disney fans here?
Yes. Woo!
Wow, that was actually louder than ponies. Right?
Disney.
So Disney might win this round. I'm trying to figure out what I want to draw, so this is why I've been asking you guys. So far, Disney and Marvel got the two biggest chairs. Do you have any Care Bear fans? No, still sticking with Disney.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Disney and Marvel. Sorry, my brain goes automatically DC. All right, so let's get creative here. If we want DC, Marvel, sorry. Did I say I didn't have enough coffee today? And feel free to do a Q&A if you guys want me to talk about anything specific, you want to hear my origin story, whatever it might be, please feel free. I'm good at blabbing and drawing at the same time. I'm just trying to figure out what to draw. Ooh, okay, I think I got an idea. So you might not see it right away because I did forget my pencils in the room, but I have my colored pencils here, but they might not show up as dark as I want them, so you might not see it till I start inking. So just a little heads up there. So before I go and open up to Q&A, I'll start my origin story because I have fun saying that. Yeah, you guys will definitely. I'll try to make this part quick so you guys can see it. So, I am actually Polish. I was born in Poland and I immigrated to Canada when I was quite young. I immigrated with my mama, so I grew up in Canada, and when I first moved to Canada, I actually could not speak any English. So I used to watch cartoons like all the time because my mom didn't know what to do with me. I'm trying to learn this language I don't know anything about. But I really like cartoons, so it's actually what got me drawing. Was my mom basically sat me down, I'm just gonna look at some references, something I want, in front of the TV with a pen and paper, and she realized I really loved drawing. And that's actually what got me into it. And I actually got into comic books when it was gifted to me by one of my mom's friends who just needed to occupy my time. But here I ran into another problem. Now, I have no idea what the characters are saying. So here I am trying to learn another language. I'm given this amazing book and I want to know what it says. So my English and my reading and writing skills actually started to improve quite drastically once I was given a comic book because I need to know what the characters are saying. And that actually got me into comic books because now I'm like, oh my god, this is like the coolest thing ever. And that is how I got into comics. And then I thought I wanted to be an animator. So I actually went to school for animation, only to discover I had really, really hated animating. It was too tedious for me, so I took traditional animation, didn't work out. Wait, 3D animation, then I took traditional, and that still didn't work out. But you know what? You don't try, you don't know. A lot of school debt, mind you, but that's how I learned what exactly I wanted to do. Can you guys see what, oh yeah, you guys can see. You guys kind of got an idea what I might be drawing here?
Spider-Man?
It is Princess Spider-Man with Frog Deadpool. Because why not? Now put.
Where in Canada?
I grew up in Toronto.
Oh, awesome.
Sweet, I'm from there.
Then holding the first spider one, because why not? I like being creative, especially when I can draw whatever I want. And you guys said Disney and Marvel, so I am getting creative with Disney and Marvel. Now, that is my origin story. I've been in comics now for about 12, 14 years or so, give or take. Did my very first Fan Expo Toronto, the very first show I set up on. And there we go, let's just figure out my froggy. And I used to work for a lot of small press back in Toronto, a lot of really random projects. And I used to do a lot of pinup art because I thought that you had to draw the comic book style to get work. So my first set of portfolios was very much traditional comic books till I realized I should just draw the way I want. And that's when I started drawing my cutesy stuff. And mind you, it was very hard to get work. But you know what? I'm a persistent bugger. So yes, that is my life in a nutshell. Do we have any questions? No questions. Yeah, I've been working for DC now for about, I keep thinking I work for things shorter than I do, so it's about 3 or so years now. I did about 3 issues of DC Superhero Girls that are out currently. I did some single issues of Teen Titans Go. Now that's been announced. I am going to be working on the new style of DC Superhero Girls, which will be coming out in 2020. Hi guys! I'm drawing Princess Spider-Man with Frog Deadpool right now and Spider-Man holding a slipper in the background. This is what's happening, just so you know. Having a little fun. But yeah, and it's been really fun. DC's definitely a company I always wanted to work for since I was such a huge fan, but there was never a place for me, especially with kids' books, till they started doing them. There was nothing, but now there is, so I totally am taking advantage of it. I love working for them. So yeah, it's been about 3.5 years with DC Superhero Girls and Teen Titans Go. Any other questions? Even proofs, like Cinderella proofs.
How do you set all your artwork?
That is actually a great question. So I'm part of the comic team. We all mostly work from home or from a studio with other artists. So I don't get a lot of human interaction other than my 2 little Shih Tzus, which I talk to a lot. You're very agreeable, guys. Man, everything we do is just so awesome in their eyes. Wish it was like that all the time. For DC Superhero Girls, it's myself and Yancey as the 2 main artists for it. So Yancey is doing the first book in the new style that will be out in October. It's called Metropolis High, I believe. It looks amazing. And then there's 3 or 4 other artists that gets on and off the book because they launched a digital series for DC Superhero Girls, which you can get on the DC Comics website or on the Comixology website. This is turning out awesome. So that you can get right now. I did contribute to 1 chapter. I contributed in chapter 2 where Zatanna turns herself into a butterfly and she looks dang snazzy. I really like designing. And the fun thing is when you work on comics, sometimes you get to design like outfits or characters. I can't say what the character is, but I did get to design a brand new character for my issue of Powerless, which is out next year, and I had a lot of fun. And Zatanna turns into a butterfly because her and Bumblebee are studying the bees, and they want to get close to bees, but if Zatanna goes in human form, of course we know what will happen. The bees will be quite afraid and fly away, so Bumblebee shrinks herself down to her little bee self, and Zatanna turns herself into a snazzy purple-winged butterfly. I'm just randomly drawing Disney stuff. So I know that there isn't a frog in a slipper, but there is a frog in a slipper in this Marvel Disney story.
Cinderella and Princess and the Frog.
Exactly.
In white.
This is these little swordy thingies, samurai swords. Any other questions?
How long were you working with My Little Pony?
My last issue did wrap up last year, which is kind of bizarre and sad, but who knows, I still might work on more, you never know, but that's just for now since I am working on the new Care Bear books. That's right guys, Care Bears are back. Woo. And it is funny, so if you are a fan of My Little Pony, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like the Care Bear books because they have that same wit to it where if you're a kid you used to read on one level and if you're an adult you read on another level. And there might be a punk grumpy bear in the issue, so that alone should be a reason for you guys to read it. So the first issue did come out last month and the second issue will be out this month. So something to look forward to if you guys like Care Bears. I do have the San Diego Convention exclusive cover here at the show. I got a few more copies left of that, so just a little heads up if there are
and best thing about your job?
What was the question? Was the best?
And hardest thing?
I have no off switch. This is the bad thing when you work, especially freelance, is you don't know how to shut off for the evening. So I would say that is one of the worst things, is that my mind is always in creator mode. You could ask my friends that I have a really hard time shutting down for an evening because my home is, I just walk over to an office studio, and that is my office. Then I walk out, I'm back in my living room. So it's really hard for me to shut down. And with comic books, you really have to love what you do, because you could be working really, really long hours, and you do have to sacrifice a lot. I have sacrificed my social life, which I pick and choose the important people in my life now, because unfortunately I don't have time to go out every single weekend. I don't have time to go out and grab dinner after work. It's just something that my work just spends too many hours, because I could be working up to 18, 20 hours sometimes on some deadlines. So at that point, I really have to love what I'm doing. And my arm, I do take care of it. I take regular massage therapy and acupuncture because it's my tool. And unfortunately, as an artist, we kind of overdo and we overwork our tools. So you just have to remember, back, arm is a tool. You have to take care of it. So the long hours are definitely one of the worst parts. The best part, guys, I get to draw comic books for a living. It's something that I never imagined possible for myself, especially that it wasn't even a career choice till I was like 18 that I even considered. And it was really weird because I attended a lot of conventions, but never once did I think about, hey, I can do this as a living. Not only did I pick one of the most competitive jobs out there, with animation being very competitive as well, I picked one that really is a time commitment, because the editors give us deadlines, and you have to hit those deadlines, because if you start missing deadlines, guess what, guys? You're not going to get any more work. You start to get like the 3-strike rule, so I've been really good at hitting deadlines, and usually if I do miss a deadline, so far there's only been one that I technically missed, but she gave me a loose deadline, so technically it's not late or missed. It was just that I'm ahead on something, so she was just wondering if I could get started after San Diego. I got a little ill, and luckily that didn't have a tight deadline, because I have gotten ill on tight deadlines before where I had to work through a flu. And if you guys know what a flu is, it KOs you, and working through a flu is extremely difficult. Didn't tell my editor I had the flu because that deadline could not be moved, because it's a print deadline. And print deadlines, they're usually set unless something really, really has to cancel it, but then you've already got the pre-orders, and you got people waiting for it, and everything's already preset. So you really, really, really do not want to have to screw that up unless you have to. And yeah, I get to draw comics. I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. And the interesting thing about when I draw comic books is I'm given a script. It's a paper script. It has all the panels, the page layout. A lot of writers have been really lucky, give me quite a lot of leniency to interpret the script how I see fit without a lot of input. Because they're like, oh yeah, this is good, just keep rolling with it. I'm like, oh, thank God. So I pretty much play the movies out in my head when I draw. And a lot of time when I read comics, sometimes I feel like the story isn't good when someone pushes the pause button on my movie. Because when I read comics and look at comics, I read them in a flow. So I try to consider that in my artwork as well, is that this has to flow. And I just love, love, love doing that. Any other questions? Well, I ramble. Oh, hi, sorry. Actually, this is partially a crayon. This is a colored pencil, which is very soft, almost like a crayon. So the answer is yes, I do. For my published work, usually I don't use crayon because it has to be extremely precise. Every single line has to be nice and crisp and clean, or else I have to redo it, guys, and that's, trust me, not a lot of fun redoing something. So I use crayons for my personal work, and at conventions like this, but at home, I usually use either the computer, so I do it all digitally, which for licensed properties, which you work with a lot of different people, and a lot of people might like one thing, might not like another thing, so there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, which means a lot of people have say. So working digitally and being able to make those corrections quickly is very good, and causes a lot less stress. Any other questions? No questions?
When you first started, how hard was it getting your work out there?
Oh, hard. Very hard. I've been trying to get in, here's an example of how hard it is to get into comics, guys. And keep in mind, I'm a persistent person, so I don't take no very well. And after I say this, I'm gonna tell you guys a story of someone who definitely, I don't think, gave me good advice, but I've been wanting to get into DC for 9 years. So for 9 years, every single San Diego Comic-Con, I showed my portfolio to DC to try to get work. 9 years later, I finally got work for DC Comics. So that can show you how hard it can be. The important thing, especially when you're working in a very visual storytelling aspect, is you have to be very well-rounded. That means understand your anatomy, so understand how the body works and how to draw it. Even though I draw a lot of cartoon characters, I have a very strong understanding of human anatomy. You just need it, and horse anatomy, since I draw a lot of ponies. And the other big thing is you have to understand perspective. Perspective is very, very important because guess what? You've got to be drawing backgrounds. So if you want to get into comic books, practice your 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, all sorts of perspectives, because that's very important. And step 3, you have to know how to tell a story, because that's what comic books are. You are telling stories. And if you're someone who wants to get into comic books, there's this amazing book called Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. I read that book when I was getting into comics, like trying to get in the industry about 15, 16 years ago, and I really was like, this is what I think I want to do. And to date, there's no book that matches that one because what? Whoop. I heard a noise. Hello, sorry. No worries. And Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, it teaches you why you make panels the way you do. Why is a panel thinner? Why do you do 3 small panels in an action scene and then 1 big panel? And that's what it teaches you to think about. And it changed my life after I read it. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't think that this would work and this would work. And also a lot of reading. Like, I try my best to read comics when I can. Unfortunately, it's not very frequent anymore. But getting into comics, I read a lot of comics because I wanted to understand different people's way of telling stories. And it really, really just sinks in the back of your head, and then you start applying it to your own work and your own sequential art. And now, to tell you guys about the very not nice person who told me something very mean, but it actually did help me in the long run. Critiques are the best thing. That's the nice thing about when you do portfolio reviews where you meet like editors and other creators, and they give you proper critiques. They tell you how you can improve, and that's a good critique. When you're in school, you get critiqued by your professors and your peers all the time. And there's something called just being mean and not very nice and being a poopy head. So, the company and the name of this person shall remain anonymous because I like to play nice and I don't like being rude to people. And you know what? Maybe one day we will interact again, and I don't want him to know that this story was about him. Maybe he would give an apology. But either way, I like to be polite. I'm Canadian and we're overly polite about everything.
Yeah, we are.
Have you ever heard the joke about how Canadians have sorry battles? It's not a lie, guys. I got into a sorry battle with someone. It lasted 5 minutes of us just saying sorry until I registered what was happening, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm Canadian. Still, can't believe it happened. But anywho, I was at San Diego very early in my career, and I was showing around a portfolio. And this was actually around the time I entered. This is how you know I did comic book style, because if you guys know who the character is I'm about to say, you'll be like, this is very different. I entered the Vampirella talent search.
Ooh.
Yes, she was a very sassy Vampirella, trust me. And I entered that talent search, and I actually came in 4th place. So I didn't get the job, but at least I got my name out there in that talent search. So I knew that I had at least some sort of skill level. So I was going around San Diego with my portfolio reviews. The Vampirella talent search pages were in there, and this is another way of trying to get work, guys, is when companies have talent searches and they give you a script to try to interpret it. So this company was also having their own scouting talent. And I put together a sequential based on the script that they gave, and I went to the company going, okay, maybe you could give me a good critique. I don't think I'll get hired, but maybe I could get at least a critique on how I can improve. So we sat down, and he quietly flipped through my portfolio, and then looked up at me, and he went, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't think you could draw comic books. You definitely, this is not the career for you. You should just give up right now. You're just not good enough. I'm not joking, guys. This is exactly what an editor from a company said. And me being the polite Canadian, I closed my portfolio, thanked him for his time, and walked away. Mind you, there was a lot of cussing involved afterwards, but that was reserved in my own private time and with friends because I was in disbelief. This guy just told me I can't make it in comic books. Guys, I think I made it in comic books. But you know what? That was his opinion. I don't think it should have been given the way it was because to me it was not professional in any way. But man, did I ever want to prove this person who doesn't even know I exist, most likely. Oh, maybe he does now. Maybe he does now. I wanted to prove him wrong so badly that I went home after San Diego and all I did was try to improve my sequential art. Like I went, like anytime I wasn't in school or working, I was drawing, like non-stop. I fell off the face of the earth. My friends were like, where did Agnes go? I was just at home drawing. But it paid off because I was working with all the small press, and then in '09 I got published by Marvel Comics. I worked on the Spider-Man 25th anniversary in Girl Comics. And it paid off. It's just about hard work and persistence. And don't take no. If you want something bad enough, you just have to really, really work for it. Princess. Yeah, there's some really random drawings out there, guys. Let me. Ooh, let's draw a Spider-Man castle back. Let's see if I can figure this out. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When the world is against you and you feel your dream should be attained, but the world is against you, how do you continue forward?
You just have to. Jackie Chan actually did the most perfect quote because if you ever watch and read about his history, he had a really, really rough life. When you say everything is against you, man, everything was against him. He basically, I think he was homeless for a while, did like odd and end jobs. He didn't even find his success till I think his 30s or something like that. You can't be a product of your circumstances. You have to make your circumstances work for you. And unfortunately, sometimes some of us just have to work that much harder than others. It isn't fair, mind you, but you just have to do it. I worked a lot of jobs early on in my career. I took every job that was out there. I was making wraps for people, working in kitchens, working retail. If the job was willing to hire me, I took it just to have money coming in, just so I could afford supplies, I could afford portfolios. When I started doing conventions, we packed maybe up to 10 creators in one hotel room earlier on, but it was what we had to do. She packed a car from Toronto to drive down to New York with all our portfolios in the trunk. We did every single thing we could. And sometimes, yeah, some artists got really lucky and they got work right off the bat, but unfortunately, 90% of us, we don't have that luxury. So if you want something, just do whatever you have to get it. And if it means working jobs that you might not want to work, do it. Just because that extra money will do it for you. If it means sacrificing your social life, sacrificing this, sometimes you have to, because I make money now. I can have a social life now. Unfortunately, I choose to work because I'm a little work obsessed, mind you. But you just have to know what sacrifice is. And I was very determined to prove everyone who thought I couldn't do it, and I just didn't want to be that person that works 9 to 5 in an office. I knew it wasn't me. I found no joy in it. So the day I quit my job to pursue comics full-time, I felt in a lot of debt, guys, but I paid all that off because I just kept working at it. And now I can afford to go out with friends, and I could afford all the things that maybe I couldn't do as a teenager or in my early 20s, and I missed out on the college experiences of people going to parties, but I didn't care, because I had a dream, and my dream was to be a creator, to tell stories that people will enjoy. And I became a little hyper-focused on that dream, so I did every single thing possible. And in all honesty, I think a lot of that comes from my mom. My mom had me, and she came to a strange country, not ready for anything. She didn't know any English, guys. And just like me, she did everything she could to provide for me. And I think that's where I get my hard workingness from, is her. She was the same as me. She worked under the table when she first got to the country. She's like, okay, who will hire me? The donut shop? All right, let's do this. And now she has an amazing job. She loves what she does. I have an amazing job. I love what I do, but we definitely put the manpower to get it. And I don't regret that decision ever. I'm drawing my little towers right now. There'll be spiderweb towers after this. But yeah, if everything's against you, you should find a way to make it work for you. And if it means sacrificing those drinking nights with your buddies, or that really cool concert, you know what, do it. Because when you're older and you can afford stuff, it won't matter anymore. I could go to a concert now.
So true.
Any other questions?
Hey Agnes, how good is Spider-Man? Into the Spider-Man?
It's so good. It is amazing. Like that, like visually what they did with it was so stunning. And you know what? I'm so happy they did what they did because it invited all these people who might have never picked up a comic book to be curious about picking up a comic book because it was such a witty movie. And Spider-Gwen is awesome in it. And now everyone knows who Spider-Gwen is. So it means hopefully they'll know who Squirrel Girl is. So if you guys haven't checked out Squirrel Girl comics, especially for the younger fans, especially anime fans, oh my god, you guys have to check out Squirrel Girl. And Moon Girl and the Dinosaur? Moon Girl. Check out Moon Girl too. That's also a really good one. And check out the Spider-Man comics. And also DC Superhero Girls. I know I work on it, but I'm throwing it out there. It is dang funny. The jokes that Shea Fontana puts into DC Superhero Girls are so amusing. I think you guys will get a lot of enjoyment. And those are some comics for not the typical comic fans that they might want to get into. And if you like really cutesy stuff, if you ever heard of Art and Franco, they do Tiny Titans for DC Comics, and they also did Little Hellboy and other topics. Oh my god, guys, their comics are so cute and so funny, and they are doing a lot more stuff for the new DC Kids line. And I've seen previews, and oh my gosh, they're so funny, guys. You just Art and Franco, Tiny Titans, and whatever they're doing right now. Highly recommended for those who maybe aren't into comics. Any other questions? I know, I'm watching myself too. This is the Green Goblin moon, guys. I am throwing everything out here. Someone's gonna have a lot of fun with this one. And I guess I'll just mention before what I'm working on. I am working on Care Bears, guys. I highly recommend you guys pick it up. It is hilarious. DC Superhero Girls. I'm working on that too. Highly recommend it. I like working on properties that make people maybe learn a few things, maybe about friendship, but I also like working on books that just make people smile. And that was like always my goal. I know it sounds kind of like a weird goal. I just want to draw books that make people happy. It sounds simple, but it's a lot more complex than you think. Webbed buildings. Maybe we should pick a little Spider-Man one of these.
What do you want to do in the future? Is there any?
That is actually an amazing question. I do want to do more of my creator-owned properties, which that might be coming to fruition in the near future. That is always something I wanted to do because I used to self-publish my own books. My motto was, if you can't get work, you make work for yourself. And the best way was putting out webcomics. So I used to put out webcomics between my Marvel days and my My Little Pony days. And it was actually my webcomics that got me work for My Little Pony. I didn't show a portfolio filled with ponies. I showed a portfolio that showed that I can tell stories. And that's what the editors care about most. No matter what style or what property you work on, editors want to know that you can tell stories. So I self-published, and I just want to go back to that. Now, especially that I'm building up a fan base, and I want to be able to just create. So, in some talks right now to maybe make that possible, because I love working on licensed properties, but there's just something sweet about creating your own from scratch. So that is something to look out for. So if you follow me online, you'll find out when that becomes possible.
What was your favorite character to draw?
Oh, that's a really good question. When I was an itty bitty lass, I actually loved drawing little dogs and little horses. Mind you, none of my dogs actually looked like the dogs they're supposed to look at because I was a really bad artist. Determination, guys. You don't have to be the best at anything. You just have to want it bad enough. Because my mom could not tell what kind of dogs I was drawing. She's like, that's a really nice, Dash? The wiener dog? Like, Mommy, it's a German Shepherd. So she just stopped trying to guess. Definitely did not look like it. And my horses definitely did not look like horses. But guys, it's all about practice. And how to draw you a very cute pony.
Do you ever draw your own dogs?
All the time. They actually are hidden in a lot of the books I work on. They're in, I believe, are they in all of them or just one of the issues of DC Superhero Girls? So check, if you go to my table, you ask me, I'll show you where they are in DC Superhero Girls, because my dogs definitely appear in there. I'm just editing backgrounds. And I worked on a Dynamite Entertainment put out a little Vampy story, a little Vampirilla story. That's right, guys. They made Vampirilla a little cute kid, and I got to draw it. And they actually appear as statues in one of the shops that she stops by. I worked on the Harley Quinn, I think it was the 50th issue that came out last year. I did like a 2-pager in there. And there's a little old lady walking little dogs, and those dogs are my dogs. So yes. And when I did my webcomics, it was called You, Me, and Zombie as one of the stories. It's about a girl and her dog in a world full of zombies. My dog Otis played himself, and my dog Olive did get the person role, so she was the little girl in it, even though she's technically a little doggy. So the answer is yes, they have appeared. Oh, and it's some My Little Pony issues. I actually, I appear in most of my Little Pony issues as a background character. And if you ever pick up any of the issues I worked on, just look for a pony who's purple with. Yeah, I'm usually blonde, guys. I just dyed my hair purple for the summer because I thought it'd be a fun thing to do, and I always wanted to dye my hair a different color. But I'm usually blonde, not naturally blonde, but I'm usually blonde. So the blonde pony was me for many, many years. I love drawing my dogs. Any other questions?
So what were the cartoons that you learned English from?
My Little Pony. And Care Bears. I love the Care Bear movies growing up. I love Disney movies. I loved 101 Dalmatians when I was a kid. And I had a really amazing ESL art teacher that realized that I couldn't learn the traditional way, guys. I couldn't learn to read and write the way most people do. So she was really sweet, and I wish all teachers were like this. And she actually drew a little Dalmatian-shaped book for me. And we were only allowed to draw each of the pages if I was able to read and write something related to it. So it pushed me. So every time we drew a new picture, we told the story, and that really pushed me to start reading and writing a lot more frequently. That, and when I was back in Poland, there was a movie called The Song of Heidi. It is, you could get on DVD. I don't think you get it digitally anywhere. But truthfully, it was actually a really creepy movie. Now that, I remember it being kind of scary, but it was actually, I watched it recently, and I'm like, wow, I watched this as a kid? I'm like, how the heck did I have nightmares? I'm like, no, wait, I did have nightmares, I take it back. I always liked horror, guys. I have a Blackest Night ring on, because I loved horror as a kid, which doesn't work out when you are scared of the dark. So I can sometimes still sleep with some lights on. But I loved zombies and everything horror and vampires. And with that, I loved unicorns. Don't know how the two went together, but I was either obsessed with ponies and unicorns, or I was obsessed with horror. If they work, they work. Mind you guys, I was a very strange kid. When all my friends were listening to like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys, I was listening to Metallica.
Same.
And Yngwie Malmsteen and Ozzy Osbourne, stealing it from my cousin all the time. I was just always weird. I think it may be more creative, to tell you the truth. Weird is okay. Mind you, I was very bullied in school too. So if you are bullied in school, ignore them. Trust me, they're gonna have the job that they're unhappy with and complaining, and you're gonna have the cool job because you're just you and the weird you. And weird is so much better than plain. Even if the kids at school don't think so, they're just boring. And most likely they're just unhappy with something in their life and they're taking it out on you. So if someone's mean to you, just say, you're not worth my time, guys. You're not worth my time because I'm going to be doing something cool when I'm older. Take it from me. I'm much happier now. Kids were very, very mean. Oh, and I used to always run around the field and role play a lot, so definitely a weird kid. But you know what, I had that handful of friends that were just always there for me, and whether or not, I had a lot of friends, it didn't matter, because those 1 or 2 friends that will be with you through it all, they're the ones that matter the most. And they're the ones that you're gonna have until you're old and wrinkly. All those other girls that were mean, you won't even remember their names. I seriously do not remember their names now. So I'm Daniela. Well, Daniela's for being nice to me, so definitely not her. Don't remember.
Do you have a favorite brand of products that you like to paint with and draw with?
Actually, yes. Yes, I do. Sakura Koi watercolors are a great travel pack. I think the watercolors are actually quite high quality for what they are, and the company's really cool. And I like supporting companies that really love what they do. And they came up with a sparkly set, guys, and it has neon colors too. One of the best quality of sparkly paints that I got. Oh, let's add some sparkle in the background now that I thought about it. For my at-home work, if I work digitally, there's a program called Clip Studio Paint that actually has a really great layout program, especially for those wanting to get into comic books. And it also has a stabilizer, which means that when you do lines in the computer, sometimes they can be more wobbly, especially when you're learning control. It stabilizes some of your lines to make them seem nice and crisper, so it evens them out. So that's a great, that's a great program if you are looking to get more involved digitally. When it comes to pens and brush pens, what do I even use? I use Zebra, which is really good. It's a Japanese brand. Actually, most of my brands I think are Japanese brands. I use Micron. I like Micron. They're really nice tips and they last a while. Try not to overpress with your markers, guys. You will kill the tips much faster. And this pencil brush pen is like I love this thing. I've been using it now for 8+ years. So you can tell I really like something when I use it for a long time. And for brushes, a really good brand that's actually a pretty good quality and quite affordable is Princeton. I like it. I have some Blick brushes in here too that aren't bad. What are you? Oh no, here, I don't like it as much. I like this one. Yeah, the Princeton ones are good brushes to play with. And if you're looking to upgrade and you're willing to invest a little more money later on as you start improving on watercolors, I use Holliman watercolors. Their colors are really, really, really bright. And you don't have to use a lot, which is really good, especially when you travel a lot. I thought I actually popped out, don't tell Sakura this, I popped out almost all the colors and put in the Holliman in this one. This is because I need a customized palette, especially when you work with ponies, which involve a lot of pinks and purples. It's really rare you'll get a palette with pinks and purples. Oh, I need to add a webbing. But those are some brands to look into if you are looking to get into it more professionally or if you're a student. In all honesty, if you're just looking to practice a lot, buy like the dollar store stuff, buy like the lower stuff, especially if you're practicing a lot, because guess what? It is not the tool that makes the artist. Oh, everyone always asks me, oh, what pencil do you use? Like, it's this magical pencil. I'm like, guys, it's not a magical pencil. It just goes click, 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 which I forgot in the hotel room anyways. So there's nothing magical about the tools. It's as you get better and as you start being able to invest in your tools, then you can start spending more money. And since I do a lot of pieces at the show, which I know people are going to be cherishing for many years, I like to use artist grade since they don't fade as quickly. But here's the thing, guys, if you ever put your art in direct sunlight, no matter how high quality it is, it will fade. Sun does horrible things to art and toys. So if you ever leave your toy by the windowsill and you notice that half of it's completely dulled out, the exact same thing happens to art no matter what quality you use. Because the sun is not your friend when it comes to art and watercolors. But yeah, when you're starting out, just buy anything. My mom bought me dollar store stuff. She did not know anything about art supplies. She just knew, daughter likes it, that's all that matters. And it has a little face here, I don't know if you can tell. Eyes, mouth. And then castles. I skipped on castles while we were talking. Pretty sure this will be one of the most random sketch thingies of the show. I did a panel in San Diego, because every year I do a kids drawing panel in San Diego for DC Comics, which I absolutely love. And what we were given like random shouting requests and stuff, so everyone just shouted ideas, and then you just drew whatever everyone shouted. And I'm going to be posting it hopefully this week on Instagram. I just keep forgetting to post it. I'll post it by tomorrow if I remember. But it was Harley Quinn on a surfboard at the beach, in the ocean, with narwhals, and her hammer, and poison ivy. I had a lot of fun with that. And yes, I did incorporate everything. Gosh, just stop dabbing my buildings. Ta-da! Oh, sign! This is how you know you're done a piece, guys, when you sign it. And thank you for this paper. Sorry I forgot mine downstairs. Totally, I think it's on the floor under the chair or something. Or unless I packed it in something else. We don't know. Unless Misa ran off with it. We don't know. Misa's my friend. She helps me. She puts up with me very, very well, guys. And I suffer from anxiety a lot, so having a friend that'll put up with you during an anxiety attack, you know that's a friend for life. So hold on to that one nice and tight, guys. Ta-da! Alright, I'm going to ask you something in my whole jibber-jabbering of jabberings. And the first person to put up their hand and answer it correctly is going to win this beauty here. It might still be a little wet. Let me grab a quick photo. Best in a good camera, guys. Alright. It won't be a hard question, but it really will be, were you paying attention? And this will come out. Here we go. Are you ready with your hands?
Was that a question?
You got a question?
No, was that a question? Were you ready? Or
Smart.
yes.
Are you ready? What country was I born in? Good job. Congratulations. Wow, you're really quick with that one. Jinguyan, which means thank you. Give it like 5 minutes to dry. The background's still a little wet. I hope you like it. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you for listening to me ramble on. I have no idea what time it is. Does anyone want to ask any questions before we head out that I might have not answered?
Where in Poland?
I'm from Gdańsk, which is the north. It's right by the Baltic Sea near Sopot and Gdynia. It's very beautiful, by the way. It's part of old Gdańsk actually did not get destroyed by the war, so you can still find the beautiful architecture. And I also recommend Krakow. If you're looking to go to Europe and get 3 to 1 your money back, Poland still uses the Polish currency and has some beautiful, beautiful cities, and it's a lot cheaper than the euro. Anything else? Well, I pack up and organize.
What era of the Care Bear movies are we talking about?
I started watching the Care Bears in the 80s.
Okay.
I might give away my age a bit there. But it was one of the first TV shows I was introduced to, and the Care Bear movies, Care Bear Carolot. Oh my god, I don't remember all of them anymore. But they have the witches and all sorts of weird things. Very different than the Care Bears now. But yeah, definitely got introduced to Care Bears. I was in Canada late 80s? Yeah, I came to Canada in the late 80s. Don't ask me.
They didn't have as much traffic as Toronto has now.
I'm sorry?
It probably didn't have as much traffic as Toronto has now.
Oh my god, the traffic got insane.
Right?
I moved out of Toronto. I've been living in the States now for 5.5 years. I went back to visit my mom and I was like, what the heck happened here? car.
Right? It takes like an hour just to go around downtown.
It's insane. It feels like LA. Just thank God, not LA is even worse though. If you've ever been stuck in LA traffic, you will test your patience.
I fell asleep.
On the 405.
And make sure to eat before you get in the car, because you will be very hungry.
I fell asleep. And when I woke up, I was still in it. Thank God I wasn't driving.
Oh, see, I don't know. That one's actually way too hard to answer because they're all very different from each other.
But enough
And
for love
I just
because I
like
did
doing conventions because I get to meet and interact with people. When you sit at home working long hours by yourself talking to dogs, cons are very refreshing. That's why I like doing them, and I do a lot of live sketching, especially at my table. I take live requests because I get to interact with you guys, and to me that's extremely important. I want to know what you like, what you don't like. If I drew something you don't like, I like knowing that stuff. If you drew something you really like that I drew, I like knowing that too. So I really like doing shows, just in general. So I definitely don't have a favorite. They've taken me all the way to Asia, all the way to Mexico. They've places I've always wanted to travel. That was something I wanted to do since I was younger, but never had too many opportunities to do, because traveling can get quite expensive, and now conventions give me those opportunities, and now I'm here in Hawaii. I love it here. I'm gonna retire here with Misa. Right, Misa? Right. She's somewhere in the crowd. That's my Misaki. Anything else? Yes.
Have you ever been to a brony convention?
Yes, I've been to BronyCon and BabsCon.
How
I
was
love
it?
both of them. BronyCon was a beast. I did not expect it to be that crazy busy. I was invited to BronyCon this year, guys, but I'm here, which I'm happy because it is Hawaii. So definitely, I was a little sad that I wasn't being able to be there for the last BronyCon, but at least I have cherished memories from the year I went. Yes, sweetie.
Are you gonna be here tomorrow?
I will. I'll be here, and I sometimes have a little trouble waking up in the morning because of the time shift. I do apologize. So I'll be here by 10:30. If it starts at 10, I will try to be here for 10, but the time shift just has me a little jet lagged, so I've been missing my alarm a little bit. So if I'm here by 10:30, I do apologize, but I'll be here bright and early tomorrow and Sunday. Bright and early on Sunday too. Hopefully we won't get the thunderstorms, which I just found out about today.
They
Go
won't
now. Wait. Yes.
How has your vacation been so far?
Amazing. I really like Hawaii. It's my third time here, and I've actually only done this island. I still have to go check out the other ones, just the opportunities haven't come up. But I love Hawaii. It's just the vibe here, and everyone's super nice. Like, there's definitely some cities where people aren't as nice, but everyone's been extremely welcoming. The volunteers and the staff have been amazing. Like, everyone's just so nice, and you guys have been super nice. So happy, and I love it. Yeah, I love it. I'm gonna retire here, guys. This has already been made, so definitely like it. Yes.
What's your favorite part about Hawaii?
Everything. The food, the beach. As you guys can tell, I have this beautiful tan. I don't have a tan. I can't tan, guys.
The light.
I have this European skin, which it goes from white to red back to a slightly darker shade of white. I wish I could tan. I'm very jealous of Misa because she can tan, and I'm like, dang it. So I actually wear like long sleeves to go to the beach. I know I'm one of those, but I burn really easily, so I'm very pale. But I still like to go to the beach. I still went and had my tube and went into the ocean and just walked around like a little seal. Hopefully there was no sharks around because I definitely look like a flopping seal, but I loved it. I had so much fun. And I've been eating a lot of food. What's your time? All right, one more question, and then if you guys have any more, find me downstairs at the show, and then go check out all the other amazing artists that are here too, because you guys got some really cool artists here. But one more question if there is one. No. Yes, you.
What kind of food did you try here?
What did I have? I've had a lot of pork. I've already had, I love sushi. I like sushi a lot. I've always eaten it since I was young. Had a lot of poke. Had some French toast with this guava thing today, which was delicious. Have had a lot of coffee. You guys have really good coffee here, by the way. What else did we eat, Misa? Everything, yeah. 3 meals have definitely been taken care of with all different types of cuisine. I can't eat spam, so definitely do not have Mitsubis because spam actually makes me really sick. I can't eat a lot of processed or fried foods, unfortunately. I do eat fried foods here and there, but I can't eat too many or else I won't be at the show tomorrow. So, but you guys have a lot of fresh fish. I like your fish. Definitely eating a lot of fish. Fish tacos, poke, tuna, just about any type of fish I've had here. Mahi, had that too. Any other fish? I don't like fish. I like fish. If that wasn't made clear yet.
How does big conventions like SDCC compare to the smaller conventions compared for you, the craziness and everything when you attend?
I like doing all the different ones because some shows are fun because they're so chaotic and crazy and the show's over and you're like, what the heck just happened? And then there's calmer shows like this where I can interact with people more. So this is definitely more laid back, which is great because it's Hawaii. Thank you. Yes. And I like the vibe here. So it's nice to do a combination because if I just did crazy show after crazy show, I would definitely run out of energy. So I like to vary them. I found out there's a lot of anime fans in this one, lots of great kids. You said STGCC, right?
San Diego.
San Diego? Really bizarre. This San Diego is strange with the requests.
Really?
Because, which I'm not complaining, which I had a lot of fun. I drew a lot of people's pets. Pets as superheroes. Pets as anime characters. A lot of people dressed up as their superheroes. And that was like the main request, which was kind of crazy. I was like, what is going on here? But it was a lot of fun. I'm always more intimidated when I'm asked to do people because I'm like, I'm not a character artist. It won't look like you. You might not know it's you, but you'll know it's you. Trust me. So I drew a lot of that, and I got a lot of DC requests, so that was a lot of fun. This show, it's been very all over the place, so it's been keeping me on my toes, which is also really, really fun. Every request I got today was very different from the one before it. Yes, my little Supergirl, what might be your question?
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is aqua and teal. Aqua and teal is a mix of green and blue. And because I really liked the color green growing up, and I discovered aqua, which I'm like, man, this is like the coolest version of green out there. So I really like it. I actually use aqua and teal in a lot of my work because it looks pretty too. Oh, and then this has a little bit of a blue and teal, and so I picked it because the colors, it matches my hair.
What's your favorite Avenger?
My favorite Avenger is Thor. Because the Thor movies are my favorite. I really like Thor Ragnarok because it's so funny. But I like Thor because he's cool. Yes?
Have you seen Endgame?
Yes, I did. And I'm not spoiling it for anyone. Of course I did. Are you crazy? But I wrote my guys, I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet because I promised a friend I would wait for them, and then they ended up watching it without me. Aww. So, what am I doing when I get home? Captain Marvel. Alright, one more and then we're good, because I got my notice that we're getting kicked out. Yes? Okay, what's it? I gotta hear you. What is it?
We watched Captain Marvel.
You watched Captain Marvel? Did you like it? I heard there's a really awesome cat in it, which I've drawn at many shows. Totally, with the whole integral business and everything, guys. He is awesome to draw. It's actually one of my favorite random requests I get. Oh, and I drew a grumpy cat version of that cat at one of the last shows, which that was a lot of fun too. All right, I guess we'll close off. I just want to say thank you so much, guys. It was such a pleasure and congratulations.